Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, I want to share with you some kind of a node setup in Sverchok that allows you to generate kind of like a moving noise, but the resulting noise will be kind of looping. And normally with some kind of noise that you created procedurally, this is not easy to do, but this is kind of like a nice trick that you can do, um, so you can get a result that's something looking something like this. So you can see this is 100 frames of noise kind of moving in one directions, and then it's you can see the first and the last part of the noise is the same, but in the middle somewhere the noise is kind of blending. So that's actually the trick. And if I and this funky looking result is because I'm using solidify and remesh, but this is the original noise. And I have also another two example. So what I'm creating here is 100 frames, and it is a looping noise that you can use in a game engine. And the setup is looking something like this. File open, and there you go. This is the Sverchok nodes. It is actually, it's not that complicated. So for this one, like I said, I have like 100 frames, and then I'm I'm having like oh, actually the whole thing is actually 200 frames, but you kind of make a cut in the middle, so it's you offset the noise and overlap the same noise together. One of them have some kind of offset, and then you kind of blend the two. That's actually the whole setup right there. But I'll show you anyway. This is, so we have um, this is frame coming in, and this is the offset, which is minus 100. The original timeline is actually 200 frames. Keep that in mind. So this is half, and then the next thing is kind of to generate the noise to displace our planes. The plane itself is 40 by 40, which is 1600 points, and it generates this noise. And I'm using this so we can also visualize it. The idea by offsetting is that so we can easily blend the in between. Oh, okay, this actually create the noise. This guy and this guy should be the same. The nodes is similar. I still have control over the strength of the noise, and this is where the magic happens. Basically, between 0 and 100, I'm kind of blending, kind of like a cross fading the noise. So if you can imagine the original noise, oops, maybe I just uh, oops, let me open up this thing. And okay, increase the thickness. Okay, delete the grease pencil. So this is the original um, noise animations, which is 200 frames. I duplicate the whole thing and make a cut in the middle, and kind of having the two like this, and then we just pick up the one in the middle, which is actually blending between the two noise. It's actually exactly the same noise, but the other one is kind of offset. So it let me save this first, and I actually have an example which kind of explain this a little bit better. Visualize, where is visualize, this one. Okay, so imagine you created this procedural noise for 200 frames. It can be procedural noise like anything, but it can also be something like a simulations. Let's say like a flag, kind of a flag move simulations, and you make like 200 frames of simulations, and then you duplicate the simulations and then offset this one by half. So the one here that's at the original of the timeline, and the one here is gonna be exactly the same. In between this guy, we are doing the blending. You can see here like a crossfade. So what's happening here? Look at the noise displacement. In the middle, there's kind of like blending between the noise, but the first and the last will be the same. So that's actually the whole trick. It's very simple. So let's have a look again at the setup. Here I have an output for the texture, just in case you want to also render it as just black and white or grayscale. And I'll prove it to you that if I change this to crackle, or if I have two different texture, you can see the blend happening. But it's not gonna be looping. It's gonna be, there's gonna be a pop. But if both is Voronoi crackle, you can see when it hits the last frame and it's looping back to the beginning, there is no pop. It's just like a completely a perfect loop. Our brain normally, if there is like a pop, normally because we notice the pop if it's the first and the end. But if we make the first and the end the same and we blend it in the middle, our brain cannot actually tell that what's going on. So let's try. Oops, look at that. See how it's blending between the two noise. That's actually the trick. You might, if you look at the tutorial how to loop a noise, you'll get a couple of results like this one. Actually, this two is the one that I'm using. I think the CG Bros actually the one that's giving the tutorial. So it's using Maya and enclose for the flag. So like I said, you do the simulations, and then you do the blend this way. Simply by halving, you kind of blend the noise in a half, and then you make sure the beginning and the end is the same. That's actually the trick. There's a couple of ways to do this, but this is probably the easiest. You can blend also cell noise, but I think Voronoi 3. Okay, this one not so clear. Okay, what's like that? And this is kind of like low res. I'm generating the noise using Sverchok, but you can generate noise in any different way. Like you can use cycles as well. Okay, the noise or like the random. I can even like use a random value because the randomness is not it's not totally random. It's a pseudo random. You can easily offset it. Pseudo. You can read about it here. Pseudo random, like all kind of noise you see here, Berlin, whatever. They are actually like a pattern. It doesn't seem like they're repeating, but they actually do repeat. But here you can see there's a blend between the two, but you don't really notice it because it's kind of two noise together on top of each other. Is kind of like they're mixing together really well in the middle, so we can't see that. But the one at the first and the end is the same, so it's gonna be a nice and looping animations. I think it's kind of nice, and you can use it for anything. Anyhow, that's the idea. Hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.